Hey friends, it's Will and welcome back to the channel. Over the past few weeks I have been experimenting with a new knife, one that has been absolutely phenomenal, and I have had dozens of you guys asking me what it is, where do you buy it from, and so I thought instead of answering all of your questions individually, I've answered a bunch of them, but I keep getting more and more, so I thought what a better way to do it, because then you can get yourself one for Christmas, you can ask for one for a present from a loved one, from a family member, and you will have a phenomenal knife for yourself to use. It is a surgical scalpel. This thing is absolutely phenomenal for leatherwork. And let me tell you why. First of all, it has a replaceable blade. One of the hardest things to learn when you're beginning out your leatherworking journey is how do you sharpen your knife. I say over and over again that a sharp knife is so important for not just good leatherwork but safe practice. We use knives within millimeters of our fingers, and we don't want to cut our fingers off, because cutting your fingers off is obviously a bad idea. I have lopped the tip off one of my digits before, and it was extremely painful. We don't want to do that. A sharp knife is safer than a blunt knife, because when you're pulling it through, you don't have to put as much pressure down. You're less likely to slip whilst you're cutting. So why is this perfect for that? One, you can strop it. You may think to yourself, oh, it's tiny, it's a replaceable blade, you can't strop it, it's too thin. You can. You just like a normal knife, you can strop it. But the easiest thing about it is it's double beveled. A lot of more expensive knives for leatherworkers, or more expensive knives in general, typically for leatherworkers, they make them single bevel. So they make them one-sided. A bevel is how it comes to a point. This is double beveled, which means that there's an angle on both sides, instead of it being single beveled where one side is straight, one side is angled, coming to the point like that. So this has like this, and that has two benefits. One, it's easier to strop because you just go back, forward, instead of doing loads one side and then just taking the bow off the back side. Two, you can cut straight. So with a single beveled knife, it will want to drift because of the way it's cutting. So you have to tilt your hand either inwards or outwards depending on which side the bevel's on, and to keep that blade going straight. With this, you don't have to do that. With this, you can cut straight. They're designed for surgeons, obviously. So once you've stropped it a couple times and you obviously need to replace the blade, they're very easy to pop off. Be very careful, because they are sharp. Even when they're too blunt for leather, they're still really bloody sharp. So be very careful when you take them off. And the fantastic thing about it is they're so cheap. So a box of, I think it's a box of 100. I might be slightly wrong, but I think it's a box of 100. It's like $19 or $20, something like that on Amazon. So cheap, and there'll be a link to that in the description box below. I also have an affiliate link to NordVPN, which I have recently discovered because I was looking at booking some flights to go and see my brother and to go down to France, because I'd absolutely love to visit some of the tanneries. And what I discovered was that if you're booking a flight from the UK or the US or Germany or wherever you are in the world, if you log onto a VPN and you put yourself in the location you're going to, it's often cheaper. So I found that out recently. So I actually saved quite a lot of money. It's just a fantastic thing to have. So if you're interested in a VPN, please do check out my link in the description box below. They have constantly got absolutely fantastic deals running. I think it's 74% at the moment. It might be slightly wrong. There'll be a couple of links down below. There'll be the blade, the knife, and my affiliate link to NordVPN. It's a big old box, really cheap. It will last you months/years, depending on how frequently you change your blade. If you strop regularly, you won't need to change as often because you're keeping the blade sharp, but it gets to a point where you can't strop off the dullness, and you don't really want to sharpen this. simply because it's so thin and it comes to such a fine, the angles are really, really sharp. There's difference. I'm not going to go into blade geometry in this video. If you want a video about leatherwork blade geometry, I will try and do one. Let me know in the description box below. I'm not a bladesmith, just as a prior warning. But the sharper the angles, the harder it is to sharpen, because you get a, as far as I know, please correct me in the comments below if that's not entirely true, but I believe that the sharper, the steeper the angle, the steeper the angle, the harder it is to sharp, because you get to a really, really sharp point. But they're very difficult to sharpen. You can give it a go if you want. I personally wouldn't. I would just replace the blade. And they come in these little sachets. Just as a disclaimer, this is not a surgical instrument in this manner. These are not sterile blades. Please do not operate on someone if you're not a doctor or a surgeon. Please don't use this as a surgical tool. Disclaimer over. But these, I believe they have 5 or 10 per pack. Can't quite remember. 5 surgical blades per pack. They come in a big old box. So it's like 50 of these packs. No, my maths is wrong on that. Anyway, there's 100 in a box. 5 per pack. Need coffee before I do the maths on that one. I'm a moron apparently. The next thing is they're super ergonomic. Some knives, obviously they're designed for cutting people. So don't do surgery if you're not a doctor. They're super ergonomic. They've got like a grip where your thumb sits. They're really ergonomic. But the last thing I'll say is they're so cheap. Not just the blades, obviously, because they're replaceable, but the handle. Can't remember off the top of my head. There'll be a link in the description box below. Please do bear in mind that that link is a affiliate link. Support the channel a little bit if you buy it. There's loads of disclaimers in leatherwork in YouTube. It's ridiculous. So I think they're about $10 or $20. They're not expensive at all. Stainless steel. So they're really strong. They're made in Sheffield by Swan Morton, and so they're British surgical steel, but you can British stainless steel, but you can buy them in any country. Like they're on Amazon, and there are millions of them. They're a dime a dozen, as we say in the UK. It just means that they're really cheap. It's an old-fashioned expression. So if you were to ever damage it, or you're like myself, when I was starting out, you just want to dip your toes into leatherwork, you want to give it a go, you don't want to spend lots and lots of money, this is the perfect solution. Because yes, I have other knives that are absolutely stunning. So I have a bunch of other blades, and this is by far the best one for beginners, because you can start the craft without having to spend too much money. Now, I did see a comment saying that some of the throwaway disposable blades that this guy was using were too flexible. Now, when you're beginning, you do want a bit of flex, because having a very rigid blade means that you need to move your entire hand when you go around a pattern. If it's got a little bit of flex, it'll go in and it will bend itself around that pattern a little bit. Obviously, it's not hugely strong, so if you poke in too hard, you can snap the blade, hence replacing it. It's the best budget knife for leatherwork or any craft. This is not just for leather. This can be used for this is perfect for any craft, and I cannot recommend it enough. There'll be a link in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a phenomenal week. Take care. In my description box, I also have an affiliate link to NordVPN, which I have recently discovered because I was looking at booking some flights to go and see my brother and to go down to France, because I'd absolutely love to visit some of the tanneries. And what I discovered was that if you're booking a flight from the UK or the US or Germany or wherever you are in the world, I'll stop waving around that knife, if you log onto a VPN and you put yourself in the location you're going to, it's often cheaper. So I found that out recently. So I actually saved quite a lot of money I think it was about 20 quid on the flight. I forgot to screen record it. I'm sorry. It's just a fantastic thing to have. So if you're interested in a VPN, please do check out my link in the description box below. They have constantly got absolutely fantastic deals running. I think it's 74% at the moment. It might be slightly wrong. There'll be a couple of links down below. There'll be the blade, the knife, and my affiliate link to NordVPN.